Okay, boys. Hey, today's video, one recommended by a friend of mine, Louis, and also another client. The best bulking foods and snacks and cheat codes and hacks that will essentially help you if you are struggling with a smaller appetite and struggling to actually put on size, get calories in. To be honest with you, this is literally me. I struggle with this. I'm someone who can diet really well. I can lose fat very easily because I don't really like to eat that much food. Like I can eat, 3,000 calories with ease. But it's when you get to where I'm at now, 4,000 calories. And it's a little bit challenging if I'm being completely honest. This is where you got to get a bit tactical, okay? So I'm going to jump straight in and pretty much give you the 5 best foods, the 5 best hacks that you can be using to essentially gain a load of size in a way that's borderline healthy, and that's actually going to allow you to obviously gain more weight, get bigger, put on more size, right? So just as a bit of credentials, so for those who are new here who don't know me, no, I'm not chatting shit. I was 65 kilogram in April. Did that on purpose, by the way. I wasn't skinny. I was 80 before, went down to 65. And then from 65, I've managed to get to 78.5 as of this morning. Today is the 12th of September. So in around 4 months, I believe that is 4.5 months, I've managed to put on around 13 kilogram, okay? That's around 30 pounds, right? And I'd like to say the majority of it is muscle. There will be a little bit of body fat. We're a little bit soft in the midsection, but the majority of it is muscle. And the way I did it is very, very simple. So from the diet, I managed the reversal phase very well and basically increased the calories accordingly. And pretty much what I did was I followed the exact same diet plan that I followed on my diet when I was on 2,400 calories when I was shredding. And I basically ran that up until around 3,000 calories and pretty much kept the exact same foods. For reference, this is what my diet consists of. I eat 6 meals per day. The first meal is pretty much protein oats. We have oats, dark chocolate, frozen berries, honey, that's it, right? Meal 2 will be pretty much chicken, rice, and veg. Meal 3 will be fat-free skyr yogurt, berries, dark chocolate again. Meal 4 will be another form of chicken and rice and veg. Maybe it might change to turkey, it might change to beef, or whatever that is. And then we have pre and post workout meals, which are there to basically inflate carbohydrates and essentially make sure you're training hard and fueling performance. So that will be pretty much a bagel, honey, some dates, and then followed by a protein shake and some more fruit. That's the structure, that's the skeleton of my meal plan. And then you basically just adjust the quantities. Now, I went from 2,400 to 3,000 calories just by adjusting the quantities, and that was pretty easy. The biggest hack, so the first hack I'm gonna give you, number 1, is meal timing and structure. The mistake people make is, let's say they need to eat 3,000 calories, they just have 3 meals per day and then eat 3 1,000 calorie meals. At the end of the day, it's pretty hard to do because you've got to digest a lot of food, which is 1, going to bloat you, but 2, it's not going to fuel you very well because you're going to be spending a lot of time when you should be working or, I don't know, moving about, trying to digest a shit ton of food. Not to mention, protein is the hardest macronutrient to actually digest. If you're consuming 1/3 of your total protein intake, perhaps that's 200 grams. If you're consuming 70, 80 gram of protein in one sitting, you will feel it 100%. So my best advice is double your meals. If you're eating 3, have 6 and just spread it out throughout the day. It's much easier when you think if you do it that way. And if you have a very structured plan of when you eat, you're going to basically benefit from that. You're going to find it very, very easy because when you break it down, 3,000 calories divided by 6, well, that's only 500 calories per meal. It's not that hard when you think about it. 500 calories is fucking easy. So it just comes down to preparation. That's number 1. Then after that, there comes a time where you're like, right, it's pretty fucking difficult now to consume more than 3,500 calories. And bear in mind, I'm talking about clean food that actually fits your carb and fat macronutrient ratios. It is easy to hit for 3,500 calories if you eat shit. I'm talking about doing this every single day for months upon end. So for those of you who are going to tell me, oh no, I could hit that with ease, I would love to see you hit it with all whole food meals and eat chicken and rice 5 times a day. You probably won't be able to do it. So disclaimer, this is for people who actually want to put on lean muscle and not put on a bunch of fat and destroy their insulin sensitivity and look like shit so they have to diet after 1 month. These are people who want to actually sustain this. So your next hack, right, is making sure that you're doing 2 things. First off, you're balancing carbohydrates and fats effectively. So you need an excess of carbohydrate. That's what's going to fuel your performance. That's what's going to get you bigger. A lot of people think if you want to put on size, you just need loads of calories. No, you need lots of carbohydrates because that's what's going to fuel you. So we use fats to our advantage because they are much more calorific. They weigh 9 calories of a gram. So use them well but make sure that you're also fueling your carbs. So I'd recommend essentially pushing your fats up if you are struggling to hit your calories, but doing so in a way that's not going to basically bring your carbohydrates all the way down, perhaps below 400 grams when you're at that range of calories, okay? That's the second thing. And when you're looking at healthy fats, you can be looking at peanut butter, you can be looking at dark chocolate, you can be looking at olive oil, avocados. All of these are really low satiating foods that have a lot of calories in. Just don't abuse them. So healthy fats, that's hack number 2. Third of all, liquid calories. And again, same principle applies. Do not abuse these because you will ruin your digestion, 100%. So I've just got my props. Basically what we've got here is 2 litres of chocolate milk and 1 litre of orange juice. Now I do not consume this every single day. I have one of these every single day, 1 litre, okay? And I have about 500 millilitres of this. Because if I had 2 litres of this, trust me, that would not be good for the digestive system. So use these wisely, right? Because 1 litre of that chocolate milk is 750 calories and a good amount of protein. 1 litre of that orange juice is 500 calories. So just from that, if I'm having those 2 in a day, I'm adding 1,200 calories just through liquid forms. Now, I'm not suggesting you rely on this, use it wisely, but it is a great tool. And I tell you what, it's a really good tool for. If you're someone who's an entrepreneur, if someone who works online, if you work remote, you sat down all the time. Remember what we said about meal timing. You need to be consistently eating your calories throughout the day. If you know you've got to be at the laptop for 3 hours and you can't nip out for some food, that's where you got to be strategic and go, I better have my 1 litre of orange juice whilst I'm on these calls. That's literally what I did today. I had calls from 2 till 5. I was drinking 1 litre of orange juice on that call. I said, excuse me, lads, I've got my orange juice here. I hope you understand. I'm bulking. I'm trying to gain as much size as possible. They understood. And that way I managed to consume 700 calories without getting up, without cooking a meal. And that's very strategic. Now, I'm not going to go and have another litre because that would just be abusing it. And that would destroy my digestive system, my skin, everything. That would not be good. So I'm going to go eat a normal meal after this. But I use that every single day. Orange juice and chocolate milk. It's pretty good. It doesn't have to be chocolate milk. It can be normal milk. I just think it's a bit easier. And then be very, very careful about, obviously, your skin, your overall health, perhaps you're lactose intolerant. Don't abuse it. Those are 2 little tips that I would use there, okay? And then once we've obviously got healthy fats in, we've got liquid calories, we've got strategic meal timing, it's then a case of making sure that you're eating early and you're not eating late, okay? So let's take my routine, for example. I get up most days 6, 7 a.m. pretty much. Sometimes it changes. 6 to 7 a.m., that's the ideal time I wake up. Now, I think everyone would benefit from a little bit of fasting in the morning. I still like to fast. However, the truth is you cannot fast until 12 p.m. when you are trying to bulk and add size, because like we said, we need to be having 6 meals really a day to partition the food effectively. Otherwise, you've got a very small window. Do you see what I'm saying? So really, you want to make sure you're having your first meal at 8. Meal 1, 8, and then eat every 2 to 3 hours after that. Meal 2, 11. Meal 3, 1. Meal 4, 4 p.m. Meal 5, 7 p.m. Meal 6, 9 p.m. Go to bed, 11. That's a perfect day of eating. Now, the mistake people make, and the mistake I often make, is waiting until 12 to eat my first meal, which just pushes all of that back later. So it gets to 10 p.m. and then what happens? You basically have to eat 1,500 calories before you go to bed, and then you can't sleep as well because you're now digesting a shit ton of food. And more often than not, the food you have to eat is probably shit. The idea of McDonald's or Domino's comes into mind because you're like, 1,500 calories. I'm saying this from experience. I'm not perfect. I do this shit. Like, I've been in this game for a while. I did it recently and I realized it's not the right way to do things. So reminder, always wake up and start eating. And the last thing I would say, remember the goal of this was obviously to help you bulk, to help you gain size. The biggest tip I can give you is you don't need to eat loads of food, because not many people will tell you this. I will, because I care. I want people to do well here. Food doesn't equal muscle. I want you to understand that. I'm going to explain the whole entire process of gaining muscle and bulking, what it actually does, okay? You essentially are trying to increase your lifts every single week without fail in order to get stronger. If you get stronger, you build more muscle. Now, just understand one thing. Doesn't mean you need food to do that. You can get stronger by perfecting your form. For example, you can review your workouts and you can pretty much look at each exercise and go, oh, I wasn't performing this as well as I could. I was doing it very quickly. Next week, I can progressively overload, not by increasing the weight. Progressively overload just means making it harder. by doing it slower, okay? One big, mature way of thinking that will change your whole journey when it comes to building muscle is progressive overload doesn't necessarily mean more reps and more weight. It means making it harder. And if you're doing this very quickly, the easiest way to make it harder is provide more time under tension, which means slow everything the fuck down. If you do that, you'll make it harder. So what I like to say is basically exhaust training as much as possible before you think about adding loads of food. So essentially, look at your training clips. If you're not filming training clips, if you've not got a tripod, get one. Trust me, change your life. Make sure your training is exactly where it needs to be. Make sure that's improved to the maximum, and then just keep progressing the lifts. Now, if the lifts are not progressing and you hit a standstill, and then you double check that and you clarify that by seeing no gain on the scale, then you increase your food. But you don't just increase your food, you increase your carbohydrates, because your protein and fats are there for reasons. Your protein's there to essentially repair muscle growth. You don't need more after a while. Your fats are there to essentially maintain hormonal function, to help you function as a human. They don't need to be increased really. Your carbohydrates are what's going to drive performance. So as your calories go up, they go up via carbohydrates. So if you're finding that you can't lift anymore, then you add 25 grams of carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram, so 100 calories, right? Literally fuck all, maybe 50 grams depending on that. And then you go and use those extra calories, use that extra glycogen that's now in your muscles to train harder, to push it even more. And then you'll notice that you can lift more and you get stronger and you build more muscle. And guess what happens? The scale goes up and you rinse and repeat that. The biggest mistake you will make is just using the scale as your only metric and your only port of call, whether we are making progress or not. Because at the end of the day, the scale can go up if you just eat food. Of course it can, do you know what I mean? The scale is not the only indicator. The biggest indicator is, are you getting stronger? Are you able to lift more than you could before? And is the scale going up in correlation with that? I hope that makes sense. So the biggest hack, I can give you all of these eating hacks. At the end of the day, yeah, food is fuel, you need that. But only if you have the training down correctly, okay? Those are my 5 hacks. I hope that makes sense. I'm not gonna edit this video, so you might have to watch it back, take some notes. I'm gonna post this straight up. Tomorrow, I'm gonna make another video pretty much talking about training intensity in detail and teaching you to actually train properly, effectively, and pretty much show you whether you're training hard enough or not. A lot of people do not train as hard as they think. So I'm gonna basically create a full breakdown, a full video on exactly how to find out and indicate whether you are actually training with the correct intensity. Because likely it is, you're not. In fact, I guarantee you're not. Don't worry, we're gonna go through it tomorrow. We're gonna make sure that everyone on this channel gets fucking massive, all right? Anyway, it's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna head for a massage, sauna, ice bath, early night, and then we go again tomorrow, all right? That's all from me. Catch you tomorrow. Peace out.